Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another reaction. So for once, I am actually, relatively speaking, early for a Yves reaction. We're checking out Luna's Yves Ex Machina visual memo, and later today I'm also going to be checking out another music video from Luna's or Artemis's Kim Lip. Very excited. I'm just excited about the fact that I am not 2 months late again as I was last time, and just the title of the song automatically, obviously, if you know the movie, makes me think of that. I absolutely adored the Ex Machina movie, but just in general, I'm excited to see what the concept is going to be like. From what I understand, the music video itself is black and white. There's no captions, unfortunately, so hopefully I will be able to find some lyrics later on. If not, we'll just talk about whatever's in front of us and see what happens. Or maybe the song will feature mostly English lyrics. If that's the case, hopefully we'll be able to focus on the lyrics and on the visuals as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, okay. We're doing a DNA test.
Get this out of my head. I'm wide awake alive. 아득해진 머릿속엔 one and only life just for you. 어긋난 시간 꿈같이 희미한.
Oh, okay.
Start saying things when I'm up, do you see? Do you get me? Yeah. Do you get me from the other side? Do you get me? Yeah. Do you get me from the other side? 아직 놓지 못해.
Yo, the high notes.
Set it back to my youth.
Back to my youth.
계곡의 어둠 속에서 일처리고 가만히 싹싹해. Afraid I'm to know you as long as I can show you. 거친 맘이 부서져 되돌릴 수 없는데 it feels like they all lie on me. I got chills when I'm up to your side. You get me.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Do you get me from the other side? Do you get me? Yeah. Do you get me from the other side? 아직 놓지 못해.
Yo, those whistle-ish notes are incredible. That's such a cool shot.
But you just fade away from me.
Holy shit. That was this is so artistic.
I wanna know.
Like, this shot is so incredible because it's like half a face within a face. It reminds me of like some artworks where you see like, it depends on how you look at it. You can see either the one face, one perspective of the face, a front facing, or like a side angle. It reminds me of like that artwork, but also the fact that she doesn't see like the bombastic side eye. And also there's like a really interesting touch of them at first being like happy when she took off the cover, which made me honestly feel more so about like maybe Ex Machina meets like Bird Box or something like that. Then she takes it off. They're happy. This tree is very symbolic. tree of life of sorts that gives some sort of a meaning that is bleeding. They're happy. The tree begins to bleed after Yves literally shoots it by the guidance of her render or whatever. You have this shot. This is so weird in a good way. You have this shot of her looking at Yves, but Yves is blind. And then you have Yves looking into the mirror, unhappy with herself, and she is looking away. And then they say farewell after they shoot the tree, and the tree actually bleeds actual blood. Definitely need to think about this a little bit more before we talk about it. But the song itself is probably the best song that she has had, and she had some amazing songs as a soloist, but like how emotional it is, and like the high notes. Is she about to clock her? And like the contrast, the black and white, is also very interesting. Oh my god. Oh shit. Okay, so this is probably like one of the most hauntingly beautiful music videos of the year. I gotta say, Yves has done an absolutely incredible job. This is probably her best song ever. Some of her best vocals for sure. The music video itself is like unsettling. It's hauntingly beautiful. It's both hypnotizing and unsettling. It makes you want to look away, but also kind of like keep an eye open as well. And I can't really focus too much on the lyrics because they're not in front of me, and a lot of them were in Korean from what I heard. But just focusing on the actual music video, it's funny how it could relate to both Ex Machina, like the meaning itself, which from what I looked up, it's in Latin, God of the Machine, Deus Ex Machina. But also there's the movie Ex Machina, which basically kind of like creates like this. Let me read this up. The key themes in Ex Machina, the film, raises questions about the moral responsibilities of creators towards their creations, and basically ask the questions, prompting viewers to ask the questions whether intelligence alone warrants rights and what obligations humans have when playing God. It is interesting because it does seem like the love interest of Yves is basically like the God figure, so to speak, that was happy as long as Yves was blinded. As long as she was blinded, she was basically her entire world, and she was Yves's world, because without her, she's both literally blinded and figuratively blinded. She's alone. The second she takes off the folds, she uncovers the reality. They were happy for like 2 seconds, and then things began to escalate to such a degree where the love kind of like became toxic in a way, and then you have the pickaxe scene. But before the pickaxe scene, there is a really... Honestly, I didn't pay too much attention to that visual until I freeze framed it. Yves is looking at the target. The love interest is guiding her hand and closing her eyes. Closing her eyes to the sin, almost as if like trying to ignore it, while at the same time guiding her, almost like washes her hands off of the action by closing her eyes to it, but still guiding her. She's literally holding her hand and shooting the tree. There is an interesting metaphor with trees, actually, and symbolisms within bleeding trees. It basically represents death and sacrifice, which kind of makes sense because she literally shoots the tree and it begins to bleed. There's a context of a short story called The Scarlet Ibis. So it basically, bleeding trees, red sap mirrors blood, foreshadowing death. It can represent a temporary refuge that becomes a place of final rest. In a Christian context, it can allude to the crucifixion and the sacrifice of Jesus. It is kind of interesting. I'm not sure how deep I want to get into it, and obviously, I don't want to get out of my element too much. I'm just like reading some stuff that I find interesting in the way it relates to this, because she's literally with her as long as she's blinded. And the second she takes off the fold, suddenly it's not good enough. There's like this toxic element that is going on. Even like the outfits, the black on the love interest, the white on Yves, pure versus dark, light versus evil. She's poisoning her with her toxicity. It leads to the situation of the pickaxe, where it's kind of like this interchangeable story where one of us has to kill each other. And the only way that we can be happy is if we remain in this story. This is kind of interesting. It's almost like toxic love is inescapable in this situation, and then they pull an ex machina. Ex machina, from what I read, is basically a representation of some sort of a plot device that introduces an element, a character, a situation that solves a seemingly unsolvable problem. We lead to this crescendo where one of them basically has to kill the other because this love is toxic. If we stay together, we'll kill each other. And then they remain together. It's almost like it was all like not a dream, but more so like a nightmare, but also in a story, in a movie, an Ex Machina, for example, is, let's say, the end of the world is coming down, there's a bomb that is about to explode and it's going to blow out the entire world, and there's a screen where you have to type in a phrase in some foreign language that you never knew. Suddenly comes a character that is like, oh hey, I never talked about this, we never introduced it in a movie, never even hinted at it, but I actually am fluent in that language that they require. Let me just type it up real quick. Suddenly, the problem is solved. That's pretty much it. It feels like the Ex Machina, like the actual situation, is this delusion that maintains them in a toxic place. Because no matter how much you will try to escape it, it will still lead to the same place of them trying to kill each other because they're not compatible, or they're only together as long as one of them is weak, blinded, innocent, naive, whatever the word you want to describe. So the Ex Machina in this sense is like, oh hey, it was all just a dream, you know, they're actually still together, Yves is still blinded, you know, her taking off the blinds is just an illusion, it doesn't really happen. The reality is almost like deciding to stay in a toxic relationship despite the fact that you know that it's going to be deadly. It's almost like a quite a literal delusion in relationships also, where both partners know that this is no good, and God forbid there's like some violence, and the woman or the guy in the relationship or whatever still say, oh man, I can fix him, I can fix her, I can stay, and then they end up fucking dead, you know? So it's like, that's kind of like the representation of the Ex Machina at the very least for me, but also the Ex Machina of like the love interest playing the role of God as long as Yves is actually blinded. If that makes any sense. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass this entire time, but that's kind of what it feels like. They were so happy for like a split second when Yves regains her eyesight, right? They're happy, they're drawing hearts, but very quickly you have this symbolic shot of her looking at Yves, with Yves being blinded. She doesn't see the cruel expression, and then Yves does see it in this shot. She doesn't even look at her. You know? It's like, I cannot be your God anymore when you are seeing the reality of the world. And here she guides her with closed eyes to do the sacrifice of their relationship, the death of their relationship, the death of either one of them. If they stay in this relationship, they're literally saying farewell to one another, but they cannot stay apart, so they have to kill one another. And then the Ex Machina is basically like them staying together still. And it's like, this was all a dream, or like some twisted reality that didn't actually exist. When this is like the actual reality, that all roads in a toxic relationship eventually lead to death, as dark as it may sound, unless you leave. But also, you can't leave, because the love is so strong and the toxicity is even stronger, so it all ends in fucking death. Anyway, those are my 2 cents. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Let me know in the comment section, but it does feel like she's literally playing God and guiding Yves throughout her entire way when she's blinded, and the second she takes off the blind, default, you see the expression on the face change so drastically, and the happiness was just momentary. Like, it didn't last more than like 5 seconds, and then it all went to shit. And then the actual colors come up, and it's no longer black and white. There's nuance. It's almost like the black, the color shots are like the gray in a way. Life is not black and white. It's everything is in the gray, and there's all kinds of shades of gray, you know. So that's kind of how I feel about this, especially with Yves ending up taking the pickaxe to her, and then the reversal happens. It's like, no matter where the situation goes, either one of us is going to kill the other. These are my 2 cents. If that makes sense, if that made sense at all, let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it. Comment your own thoughts. Obviously, this is really hard to talk about. I almost like hate myself sometimes when I react to such like complex music videos, because I've been like reading some stuff online for like 10 minutes, and then I'm trying to come up with something, whereas I'm sure most of you guys probably already watched this music video multiple times, multiple details that you notice, so you can probably come up with a more coherent like summary or like metaphor for this music video. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm kind of happy with what I got from this music video, and at the end of the day, it was beautifully done. It was unsettling, it was dark, and it was like, honestly, the vocals are so fucking beautiful. Haunting is definitely a perfect description, not subscription, a perfect description of this song. So if you enjoyed it, and if I made any sense, let me know in the comment section. Hope you did. Comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel if you're new, check out the rest of my reactions to Luna and everything that relates to Luna somewhere up here in the playlist or in the description down below, and I'll catch you all next time. See ya.